What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we're fooling around with a title that I've been waiting for a good long time. Didn't get a chance to play around with the demo back when it was out on the Steam Next Fest, but it's a little game called Star Trucker. It's exactly what you would expect based on the tin. This is a game about trucking in space. And so this sort of imagines the juxtaposition of expectation around, like, what if you took American Truck Simulator and you put it in space? That's pretty much exactly what this game is going for, and I think that's actually exactly pretty much what this game pulls off. There's a whole bunch of complexity and things to fiddle around with, although once you get into the saddle with it and you understand how everything works, I don't think there's actually that much complexity that unfolds after that. It's just getting the basics down and understanding the controls and the flow of the game that's going to take you a little bit of time to get used to. But I do think the game is enjoyable. I've been playing for about 3 hours now, and I think I've put together my first impression thoughts about the title. I just started a new playthrough because I torpedoed my last one on accident by suffocating and dying in the vacuum of space, which is obviously something you always want to avoid doing in a situation like this. But for now, we're going to play the game for the next 30 minutes. We're going to see if it's something you wanted to add to your wish list, or if it's one of those games that is just not for you. If after watching this, you did want to get the game for yourself, I got a link for you down below in the description. From there, you can also check out a link to my Discord and my Twitch stream, because I will be streaming this game, hopefully, on the day that the video goes live. But let's dive straight on into it. What are you seeing on screen right now? Well, I'm kind of like trying to maneuver my truck into position so that I can back in and get my first job here as a brand new Star Trucker. And so I'm going to show you that process. We'll get it kind of like done. Ooh, they're already opening the bay for me. Give me my, where's my targeting console at over here? Let me back this thing on in, and then I'll give you guys the grand tour of the craft so that you can understand exactly what's going on with the title as I'm playing, because there is a lot of maintenance and things that you've got to learn to do for your truck. Otherwise, the dog just won't hunt. I might be coming in a little bit crooked. I don't know how precise it wants me to be here. Let's just see if it gives me a gimme. Can I have a gimme? All right, it gave me a gimme. Get that mag lock all nice and hooked up. But this is a fresh playthrough. My character basically has 0 miles on his truck. This is where you start out if you just like skip the tutorial or whatever. I had to because I died. I lost all my money. And then I had a bunch of system failures that I couldn't fix because it auto-saved right after I died. So we need to pick up a job. That's going to be the first big thing that we've got to play around with. We can go with septic sludge, which is going, where is septic sludge going to? It's going to Edgeburg. I don't know if I want to start out with an Edgeburg job like that, dude. Edgeburg can be a little bit complicated. I've done a couple of deliveries to Edgeburg, and every single time it's kind of a headache. What's the best money I can make without having to go to Edgeburg? If I go, I can do a helium drop right here. If I take that to Medusa 6, that's 1,200 bucks. Let's do that. Let's throw a couple of light years on here. It makes you sign a EULA every single time you take a job, just to drive in sort of the dystopian space capitalism. But we've picked up our first delivery, so we've got to go get that container and make it happen. But for the moment, let me turn on the cab lights, and I'll give you a brief little tour around the interior of your cab. That way, once you start playing the game, if you choose to do so, you'll at least have a better handle on the game than I did when I first started. So we've got our heads-up display. There's a bunch of little panels and things you can play with over here that give you different readouts from all over the ship. You will want to pay attention to those. This is probably the most important one because it lets you know what systems are powered. But let's start with the lifeblood of the truck. The lifeblood of the truck is this breaker box right here. Your truck is divided up into 6 subsystems that are all hooked into various power sources, and you have to disable these before you swap out any of the more delicate pieces. But this is where you would do that at. We've started out with a container that looks like it has a free air filter inside of it. It looks like we've got a couple of UCCs over here, and I don't think I'm going to have to swap out UCCs anytime soon. So I'll probably just throw those in there. We've got a couple of replacement batteries ready to rock, which will be helpful. Anything that's stowed away inside these containers, if the gravity goes out, which can happen from time to time, they're not going to float all over the cab, like damaging things and making a nuisance of themselves. And so I like to have things stowed away if I can. We've got a gas can. We've got some consumer goods over here that we can sell. There are little trades you can do in between deliveries, like moving clothing in between some locations and others. Materials, wires, you can stack them up on the shelves over here and take them with you to earn a little bit of extra scratch on short hops. But over here, we've got the power core. This is the most important thing. If the power core goes down, it's not good. You don't want that to happen, so Power cores. Over here, we've got the maglock system and its batteries. We've got to keep these charged up, otherwise we can't tow things, because our truck entirely uses magnetic technology in order to hook up to the things that we're going to be towing. We also can't dock if those things are offline, so, keep an eye on those. You don't want those to go out. Inside these little cabins right here, or like these little compartments, we've got air filters. The air filters make it so that we can breathe more gooder. I don't know if you've ever run the risk of running out of oxygen in the vacuum of space, but it's a very traumatizing experience. You don't want that to happen. The air filters have a second part, though. You put air filters in right there, and then the air filtration system comes over to here, where the circulators use a battery to fill the cabin with air, so you don't want that to go out either. This is the climate control. That's all controlled through the HUD at the base of the craft over there. You do have to watch out for environmental conditions. Some systems are hotter or colder than others, depending on their spacing to, like, stars and other little things like that, and so you've got to set up the air conditioning so that you don't fry or freeze along the way. We've got the airlock right here for when we need to EVA, and then on this side, we've got the suit in which we shall do that EVA. It recharges from this battery right here, and you also need to have that universal control circuit or whatever to make sure that it's still working, and that's the basics of how to be an interior space truck and design major. That's pretty much it. So let's hop back on in, and I'm going to turn off the magneticism right now. We've got a little bit of power drain going to our grav drive. Oh yeah, I didn't show you where the grav drive was. This is the only one that's a little bit, like, hidden. The grav drive, it's underneath these stairs right here. So if you ever have to get the gravity drive back online, just lift the stairs. It took me a minute to find it when I first started playing, but once you know it's there, you know it's there. We've already picked up a job, so we are going to have to go to Atlas Prime. We're going to pick up some helium. Is helium explosive? I feel like helium might be explosive. Oh well, the game does a pretty good job of telling you where everything's gonna be at, so we'll go ahead and let's go. We gotta get altitude anyways. I know altitude doesn't exist in space, but we've got to get above this beam, and we've got to get way, way, way up on the y-axis of the system anyways, so that we can hit that gate right there to get to Atlas Prime and make our pickup. I'm thinking we're not going to make too much money off of this job, even less so if we end up hitting debris or anything on the way. Some of the debris is really, really small and hard to see. The control system for this game, I think it's going to be a sticking point for a number of people. There's a number of, like, decisions with the control method that take some getting used to. They're not inherently bad in and of themselves. It's just that until you run into the way that the craft controls and you play for a couple of hours, depending on whether you're going like forwards or backwards, your expectations might take a hit right there, and it takes some getting used to. But the controls can't be rekey bound, which is going to be a problem for this title. They definitely need to get that sorted on out. For now, though, we just got to take this jump gate on over to Atlas Prime. Right now, I'm cruising at a zesty 120 miles per hour, and obviously because this is Space America, we have stayed on the Imperial system. Let's try to get our angularity all nice and set up here. We're going to have to swing this thing on into the jump gate. Hopefully we don't have to pay a toll going through here. The tolls really tend to eat into the amount of money that you make. Batteries, those too. Batteries go down very, very quickly in this game, to the point where I kind of just, like, lowered the hell out of battery drain because I found the battery drain to be really, really oppressive. Batteries cost about $500 a piece, and they are constantly going out on you. And I felt like I was just making way too many side trips to grab batteries in between my deliveries. Let's get the gate all nice and charged up, and once the gate is ready for us... Am I not angled properly? Is that what they're upset about? There we go. Now we're good. Take me away, Magic Space Gate. You're gonna want to hold on to something for this. The gravity drive's doing its best, but... you know, it's a solid jump. Looks like our pickup is off to the right over there. Okay, let's swing her on around, and once I get ourselves into operational distance, I'll show you how this is done, young trucker. The game, as you can see, is incredibly beautiful. And actually, what really struck me about this game is, like, normally when you get these games that have really generic kind of garbage names, where it's just like it is what it says on the tin, you know what I mean? When the game is like, Brooming the Kitchen Simulator, I usually assume that it's going to be some kind of playway garbage that doesn't really have a lot of thought or, like, effort put into it. It's just trying to spin out as many asset simulators as possible. This game goes in the other direction, where it's got a really generic name, But the game is gorgeous. It's very visually polished. It's very gameplay polished. I haven't seen a single bug yet while playing through the game for the last 3 or 4 hours. Everything has gone great, and I really have not had any complaints about just the immersive factor that a game like this needs to have when it's a game about cruising through space delivering cargo, because this is always going to be kind of like a dad game. It's one of those games that appeals to people that are cool with just like chillaxing for a little while, being on the highway with the cruise control turned on, and generally just sort of passing time while you watch a podcast or something else like that. The game needs to be immersive, and it needs to feel good, and it needs to look good and suck you in that case. And I'm happy to say that this game does, aside from like these little generic cargo hauls that we can do. You also have storyline quests that you can do for other truckers that exist inside the galaxy. Doing their quests will unlock new mechanics and also little bits and pieces of their storyline and how they all know each other, which gives the universe a nice little tangy flavor to it that'll keep you interested. There are skill trees and whatnot, but so far I've been kind of disappointed with the skill tree. I think the game needs to have 2 skill trees, actually. There's 1 skill tree right now, and I hesitate to even call it a skill tree because it's not really. As you do quests and level up, you're going to be able to get new licenses to haul different types of cargo, whether it be fragile or whether it be explosive or like multiple trailers or anything else like that. But I think there needs to be like another skill tree that's actually your character getting better at the task of being a trucker. So there's our helium tank right there. Let me see if I can swing her on in. We'll slow her on down. And yeah, that actually looks like it lined up pretty decently okay. Now that I've got that there, we need to take a look at our docking clamps over here. Just line that reticle up, and let's get this bad boy attached because I don't even know what time limit we're playing around with right now. Some of these can be on pretty tight timetables to turn around, and so we kind of want to get this thing hooked up and ready to go, but we don't want to kiss it too hard because I'm pretty sure it's going to blow up if I do that. So let's just go nice and slow. We'll kind of like ease it in back here. We're eased in. Let's hook her up. All right, she's been hooked up, so we now have the tanker all nice and attached. And it looks like we got to go back to Medusa 6, which is where we just came from. That's going to be easy enough. I'm going to hit the cruise control down here, and then we'll put this on like 65 miles an hour because I don't actually know how fragile this cargo is. Sometimes going too fast and jarring it too much makes the game cranky, and we are maneuvering inside of a debris field right now, inside 6 degrees of freedom, so we need to be really, really careful about how we approach this because even nicking one of these little rocks or one of these pieces of debris over here can open up a hole in the hull. Then I gotta go out and patch it, then we're draining batteries, we're getting behind on our delivery, and it's just eating up time that I don't have, so I would rather not mess with it. I don't need gas yet, do I? We're probably going to need to fill up on old space dinosaurs pretty soon. But let's get vertical. Let's take this thing on into port, and I'll let you know when we hit the gate to Medusa 6 there, brother. Breaker, breaker. This is Cash Falcon looking out Medusa 6 right now, carrying a big old load of tear gas there, brother. You get that gate for me over there. I think we've more or less successfully navigated the debris field. I haven't actually EVA'd out to see if I can pick that stuff up or anything else like that. I did read that there's salvaging around, but in the 2 or 3 hours that I've played the game, I haven't really run into it. So I can't speak to like how salvage works, if we can like jalopy our way into finding a bunch of goods out there in the debris field that we can maybe drop off at a Quickie Mart or something like that. I don't know. I'll have to check with Granddad and see if he's down with it. But the debris can be very difficult to see in this game depending on the color palette of the system that you're inside of. I would like it if they gave you some kind of ping that you can do that reverberates and gives you, it kind of like turns all the debris around you like a bright green color so you can avoid it a little bit better. I'm trying to tell you, man, I've lost a lot of trucks to debris out here because it is very difficult to see. Like right here, you're blind from the horizon down, so you don't really want to fly through debris fields that way. But with this camera, it's kind of like you can't really see super well either, and sometimes they pop in on you and catch you by surprise. Like that, we're clear of the debris field, so we shouldn't have to worry about that. I don't know what our time limit's looking like right now. What's that looking like on this job? How long do I have to get that there? I got to get it there by 2:05. Okay, we got, oh, big piece of debris. Oh, it didn't hit. We got so lucky right there. I almost lost like half the money for this job. That's all it takes. This game is very, very punishing and very unforgiving when it comes to, like, making money, how much you're penalized for, like, running into things. Just don't do it, man. That would have negated more or less a big chunk of the job if I had ran into that, and it would have been bad. But we should be mostly through the debris field right now, which means that it's time for us to start making a little loosey-lefty over here. Looks like we got ourselves another breaker in front of us, getting ready to make that jump to Medusa 6. All of us out here trying to put the cheese inside the quesadilla, earn a little bit of a living out here. So I'm going to wait my turn. Okay, we are on a straight jump to the gate right now that our amigo of the road has decided to move on out to Medusa 6. Let's get ourselves into position. We are in position. We'll go ahead and pull her to a stop. Nose up. And off and away we go. Medusa 6 bound there, brother. Inside Medusa 6, this is actually a fairly easy zone, so I don't think our drop-off is going to be that difficult. Go ahead and give me cruise control, and we're going to take this thing on over to the drop zone, and we're just going to see how this all plays out. All of our readings are looking pretty good except for the gravity drive. The gravity drive we're going to have to shut down after this delivery, and we're going to have to swap out the battery before too long. But that's okay, because with this paycheck we're about to pick up, we've also got to get ourselves a little bit of fuel as well. Because it looks like our fuel efficiency is not going altogether that great right now. They started me out with a half a tank of gas, which between getting here and getting there is running out real quickly. That needle's looking awfully red right now. We got about 20 minutes to make this delivery, so luckily it's a through and through. This is one of the easy drop-offs. The deliveries do get more complex. You do end up having like a lot more trailers and things behind you that you're fooling around with as the game goes along. Makes the truck heavier and more unwieldy. If you've ever driven like a Ram that's towing a heavy load, or like an F-350 that's towing like a trailer to go to the dump or something like that, you'll know the feeling instantaneously. This thing doesn't turn on a dime, and it can get a little bit. That little rock right there was being a menace, dude. I was worried about that rock. I wasn't totally sure we were going to get out of the way of it. Let's kill the cruise control real fast. We'll take over manual, because we're going to have to spike this bad boy downwards if we want to get it on in here. Need some rotational thrust. The one thing your ship is lacking in this game, which is a little bit weird, it takes some getting used to, is that your ship doesn't have RCS thrust control that allows you to like levitate and also go up and down. So you've actually got to like line up the shot in this, because you're not going to be able to do it. But we've got the trailer inside there. Cheese is inside the quesadilla. Let's go ahead and get this big enchilada unloaded. Cash Falcon's first job's been taken care of. We had no collisions or anything else during our run, so we ended up getting a $250 bonus. We didn't get the early delivery because it was 30 minutes before it was expected. It is what it is. I think it took me a little while just because of the multi-hops right there. And as we go through, we're going to level up and we're going to rank up. We're going to get active skill points that allow us to do things. So, for example, we can get fragile load jobs right now. So there's our fragile load jobs. We'll unlock that because fragile jobs, they're not that much different from the normal jobs. Just don't run into stuff, but they pay a lot better, which will help you stay ahead of the game's creeping curve. There are other jobs that we can take. You can develop a convoy in this game. So there's other truckers that you're going to be making friends with over the course of the game. They also unlock further mechanics as you get to thresholds with their reputation, almost like Stardew Valley style. So like Red Eddie, for example, usually gives you like some of the first tutorial tasks. You work your way through there. That's going to unlock automotive shops where you can customize your truck and make it nicer. We're sitting on like 4 Gs right now. I got to go pick up some gas.
Jay, nice job getting your friend.
Hey, there he is right there.
Now that you're cleared to haul breakables, I got a job I think you can handle. Swing by New Liberty Terminal over in Alice Prime if you're interested.
Oh, I guess he didn't want a response. All right, you can't get up on the CB and talk to people and whatnot. I don't think you can, like, hail other craft that are just, like, NPCing around, but you can talk to people on the horn if you want to. Is there an automotive shop around here? And is there a gas station? Gas station's over here. All right, let's go fill her up real quick. Pulling on up to the pump. And I think one of the things this game does really well is it makes mundane tasks feel like a job to do. Like even little things like going and getting gas, you've got to do like the full docking style deal and get yourself into position. All right, there we go. Let's back her on in. Little reverse thrust right there. There we go. And now we're all ready to fuel up. Let's get her stopped off. We'll begin fueling. Gas in space. Honestly, $2 a gallon isn't that bad, except when you consider that you've got like a 500-gallon gas tank. That's really the main problem that you're going to run into. $2 a gallon would be fantastic. Over where I'm living, it's like $5. I think the other day I remarked that it hit $4, and I was super stoked that it'd be $4. A far cry from the days when I was in high school, and with a $10 bill in your pocket, for $1 a gallon, you could just go fill it up. But hey, that's the way the world works, I guess. Everybody's trying to extort you for everything. Let's go see if we can get ourselves a little bit of cash over here. I need to take another job, and I need to do it toot sweet, because we pretty much just spent all of our money from that last job just getting a tank of gas. Like I said, the economy in this game, it's going to keep you constantly pressed. Like, you're going to be constantly trying to struggle. The good news there is the game does have highly customizable difficulty. There's easium, there's medium, there's hard, there's like hardcore. And then from there, there's also custom sandbox, which allows you to use a lever to custom tailor every single thing in the game to your liking, from your battery drain to the amount of damage you take. It's really good for accessibility. People that may not have full motion or may not have the full ability to play the game perfectly, you can just disable damage to your craft and whatnot and like do your own thing. The other downside here though is the game doesn't really... Oh, I'm too high. I'm way too high. It's probably one of those things that I shouldn't say while I'm driving a big rig, but it's gonna have to do. All right, let's line her up and let's see if we can get ourselves another job here. All right, docking, what you got for me over here? Let's go ahead and rotate her a little bit. Get her nice and perpendicular on out. I don't know if it's gonna let me shoot that gap right there. We're a little bit low, but maybe it'll even out. Give me a little bit of that heat. Let's pull her on in. I'm gonna go through all my cab warnings and whatnot too, just to make sure that I've got everything I need here. We're coming in a little spicy. Let's slow that one on down, Scooter. And beautiful. Perfect. Hitch her on up, and let's see what kind of jobs we got running for us out here. After that, we'll probably try to go and see if we can go to the automotive shop maybe, buy some upgrades or something, make the truck a little bit nicer. Let's see here. We've got a fiberglass one hop. That's going to Edgeburg. Edgeburg is complicated. Do I want to show you guys Edgeburg? I mean, we're already part of the way there, I guess. It's only one jump. It's got to be there by 4 o'clock. Depends where the pickup's going to be at. We've got a waste rush right here with one jump. Yeah, I guess we'll take the fiberglass to Edgeburg. Go ahead and load her on up. Time's going to be a little tight on this one with the jump gate times and whatnot, but it'll be all right. I love the interior design of the cab of this game, by the way. Absolutely love the interior design of the cab. You can tell that they looked at like Rams and 350s and Tacomas and stuff like that. It feels like I'm inside an old work truck, which, I don't know, it's got like a little bit of a nostalgic feeling to it from back when I was a roofer driving an F-250 around all day, every day. And I do think that the vehicle gets across that weight. Like, you're not driving a sports car out here. You're not like in a space Maserati. You're inside a big rig, son. I'm going to have to do something complex right here, me thinkies. Sure. It's a time for everything, and it's time to get talented. Let's swing her around. We'll use the inertia that we've got. Well, that kind of left me like off, didn't it? Space, man. Space. I knew the maneuver I wanted to do inside of my head, and yet I still screwed it up. Alright, let's get that lined up. We'll go back. Once I've got this hooked up and we hit the cruise control, I got to go through all my... You get like little red warnings if anything's wrong with your craft, like you've got a hull leak or anything else that needs to be fixed. Coming in a little spicy. Let's slow her down. Get this hot dog in the bun. Alright, hot dog is in the bun, and we're looking good. We just got to take this thing to Edgeburg. which is a little short baby hop. Shouldn't be too bad. However, Edgeburg is complicated. Edgeburg is like a big industrial facility, and one thing I think they did a really good job with in this game is that all the systems look visually distinct. Like, they don't bleed together. You can tell that there's like different industries inside each system, and this one over here is a giant refinery, which is coincidentally in real life where like half my friends work, because there's a big Chevron refinery out at like Martinez. And so lots and lots of people I know work at the refinery, so I recognize this place over here. It looks like an emphysema elemental, like nothing good is happening to your lungs when you're inside one of those refinery cities. But I guess the job's got to get done one way or another. Edgeburg is a fun location, though, because Edgeburg wants you to back the cargo into a very, very tight little area. So this is going to be a real test of your truckmanship, and I'm not sure if I'm good enough. I guess we'll find out. Gate looks ready to rock. Give me that green light. Let's catch ourselves some speed. All right, so good old Edgeburg. This place is super fun to navigate. I'm just gonna put her on like 40-mile-an-hour cruise control, and this is one of those locations you gotta like slowly edge your way into. Ain't nothing good gonna happen inside Edgeburg if you try to do this fast. Oh, we got a drop-off spot to the left. Interesting. We're in Bay 1. I don't know what's waiting for me in Bay 1. Bay 2 is right near that marker that says Cloverleaf Gas Works, and it's these little tiny unloading corridors that you got to get the container into, and it can be an endeavor. I don't know if you've ever tried to get a free-floating canister in 0G to orientate the way that you want it to, but I'll tell you what, having tires on the ground and having like terrestrial motion makes things a lot more predictable. Once you're in 3 space, man, unloading some of these loads can get mighty complicated because that container, it just likes to float off and do its own thing sometimes. Let's come in a little bit wide because I don't know if this is a front loader or a back loader. I don't know what maneuver they're going to expect me to do here. It looks like it's a front loader. All right, it should be all right, I think, unless there's a wall behind that. Is that a pull-through? That's a pull-through. All right. Yeah, there's another loading bay over there where it's got like these little slots you got to get the crate into, and it's like a nightmare to do it without damaging it. I've done it a couple times without problems, but it is time-intensive. We're going to need to whip this really hard once we get this lined up. Hopefully there's no other through traffic around here neither. All right, doesn't look like we got other through traffic. Let's whip it. I think I can pull out the back end. It looks like I've got clearance. I may have misread this. This might have been a forward-only type situation. Yeah, I think I was supposed to back it in. I'm going to be honest with you. Offload it. Give me my cash. Careful driving bonus, early delivery, base contract payment. Looks good. Give me that cash money cheddar stack. Okay, so now we're sitting on 4,500 bucks. I'm sort of curious what fun things I can get from my vehicle out here. And so let me first of all figure out how I'm going to extract myself from this situation, because I was definitely supposed to back it in now that I look at it. I didn't see if these little loading things were going to be back here, dude. That's a problem. And now that we're free of the clutches of the industrial facility, there are a number of places over here we can go have a look at. From inside the cab, we can hold down the Z key, and it's not going to, like, clearly define what we're looking at. I guess I got to fly over there and go look. All right, let's go see if there's anything over here that we can make use of. I don't know what services this system has available. Well, I kind of got bad news. We caught a piece of debris on the way in. I was trying to look and see what was going on over in this area so I could get some rough idea of what's around and what services I can use. But I clanked something. Yeah, you can see it. You see that little steam hatch right there, dude? That little steam plume? That's what I'm talking about. Is this thing still in motion, dude? Slow it down. Put it on 0. Yeah, I don't want you to float into the station or anything. We're going to have to fix this real quick. Honestly, we needed to swap out the battery pretty soon on the grav drive anyways. So lame. We probably needed to stop off and make something happen to begin with. Let's go outside the airlock real quick. See what we got going for us. It looks like it's just the one hull breach. Let's get that welded back together real quick. We have any other problems that need to be taken care of? Or are we looking good here? I think we're all right. Let's get back inside the airlock and keep ourselves about as energy efficient as we can possibly be. Take off our suit right there. And if we have no more hull breach warnings, we should be all right, I guess. Well, no more hull breach lighting up on the HUD right now, so I think we're in okay shape. I want to go to the automotive place. I was on my way to the automotive place last time when I torpedoed my playthrough by crashing into something during like a high-risk, I guess, mission. And the crash cost me like $7,000 or $8,000, which was all I had in my account. And then all of my batteries and all of my air filters went out, and I couldn't afford to buy new ones. So, like, it was a feature that I missed out on while investigating the game. And now I would like to investigate it further. Now that you see that little maneuver right there, though, now that we're coming up on the end of the video, that's when the skills translated. All right, let's get ourselves evened out on this gate. And I wanted to go to the automotive shop because it's like the one thing that I haven't really gone through yet during my time. And so I'm curious, but I also want to show you. You know, like, it's good for both of us. Oh, there it goes. It pulled us. I didn't expect it to pull us in. It said I had no target right there. What can I do with my... I got to repair the hull. 1,200 damage to my hull. I do love the fact that your truck shows battle damage, though, from, like, running into stuff and, like, smacking into things. Paint jobs over here. Ooh, we can look a little sexier out here. We got to do a challenge in order to get some of these. Okay. Ooh, we got, like, the full... Okay, all right. I'm probably going to go with this guy right here because I'm a big fan of green. Damn, that one's got, like, a little skeleton guy on top of it. And then I also flew across the system so that we could take a look at the upgrades menu, because the upgrades are what I'm really stoked about. So it looks like we've got a number of different pumps and nozzles and things like that that we're going to be able to put on our thrusters. So that's some nice little upgrades over there. We've got subsystems. Do any of these, so that's the charging rate on the suit. I was hoping it would, like, lower the battery. Like, do I have a subsystem in here that would make it so that, like, my batteries go down slower? Because that's honestly one of the main things I noticed about the game is you're constantly swapping out batteries. But there's the upgrades that you can play around with as well with different types of shielding. Cool stuff, man. Let's do our closing thoughts. Seeing as we're getting towards the end of the video here, I actually really like this game more than I expected to. I mean, I guess I expected to like it because I do enjoy things like snow runners and whatnot, and this game is kind of an addition to that wheelhouse. I think I drew a comparison between this and American Truck Simulator early in the video, but now, later on, I think I'd actually like to change that around. This is actually much... It's a slower, more plotting, immersive, very well-made game about driving a truck across space while avoiding various hazards and problems, but I don't want people to get the idea that it's a long-haul trucking game that's about you and the road. It's not really. Most of the deliveries I've done are pretty close, so if you're looking for long-haul trucking, I haven't really seen that yet, but then again, I've only played for like 3 hours. It's mostly little 2-3 hop runs, and sometimes you stop to find a salvage crate with some stuff in it, and then you just keep on running jobs and doing storyline jobs to keep buying upgrades and paint jobs. The storyline quests, those are a really, really nice addition. I like those, and I wanted to engage with them a lot more. The characters seemed warm, believable, friendly, funny. The voice acting was done pretty well. The soundtrack is a bumper, although I did have it turned off in this video because you never know with copyright stuff nowadays. And in general, the sounds of traveling through space were good and chunky. They had that diesel-y feeling to them that made flying around pretty satisfying. Really, it's kind of a game about nothing happening until something does happen, and then you're going to be in a panic trying to EVA and play the game's little mini-task to try to fix the truck up before you asphyxiate to death. And so, like, it's mostly calm and cozy, but every now and again there are kind of these moments of panic, I guess, too, during which you asphyxiate, which I did do during my time in space. space. That brings me to the save system. It's manual. It only really auto-saves when you go through gates, and the save system actually torpedoed my run, and so I died. I had to pay all my space bucks in reparation to the evil space corporations. I had no money left because I failed the job. I couldn't afford batteries to keep myself from dying again. And the problem arose that the game it also auto-saves when you die, not just when you go through gates. And so I didn't have any other manual saves to fall back on, so be sure to manually save if you're going to play the game. Maybe a little bit more padding on the front end, I guess, for new players learning the ropes who are potentially going to fail a job before the deep end treatment, but it wasn't that big of a deal because I hadn't really done a whole lot except do 4 or 5 delivery jobs, and I hadn't really spent the money or anything yet either. Zone design, it felt fresh. Every zone felt like it had a theme and a thing that it was going for. The graphics are great. Everything looks fantastic. Really, the only things that I see with the game are the controls are heavy duty. They take some getting used to on keyboard and mouse. You're not going to be good at it the first time you go out. After 4 or 5 hours, you'll start to move the craft just like it's a part of your body, but up until then, it's a heavy vehicle, but I think if you've driven a big vehicle in real life, it'll probably feel about heavy enough. The lack of support for flight sticks is surprising, but the developers already said it's a high priority, so hopefully they'll get that on in there. And then rebindable keys. That's really the only thing that I have to observe here. After that, though, I had a great time with the game. It's not going to be for everybody. It's definitely slower than what some people are looking for. But if you're a fan of dad games where you kind of just zone out and listen to a podcast while you do menial tasks, you know, things like Viscera Cleanup Detail, things like Hard Space Shipbreaker, this game fits right in and feels to me like it was made to a very high standard and expectation. I came away pretty happy with it. I have this game in high regard right now. It's like obviously moving up in my queue of games that I want to play like right this second. I tend to like these kinds of dad games though. My name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day so you don't have to. Today it was Star Trucker. Tomorrow it will be something else. Thanks for hanging out with me. That's about all I got for you. Bye folks.